pee in outlets because that would be shocking. And what would it be shocking for the Panthers? Let's get into some Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective.
Let's
It's the
do it.
2023 NFL Combine show where we're going to talk a little bit. We'll talk a lot. We're going to save that Combine talk for our guests. Let's get into the latest news where the Carolina Panthers. What's up first, Cody?
Yeah, so now we know officially that Derek Carr will be meeting with the Carolina Panthers at the Combine. This is amongst other teams. He's also meeting with the Jets and the Saints. And people have been talking a lot about this. And it brings me to my first point, really, Tony, is that I don't even think the Panthers have a clear idea what they want to do yet. We're kind of just basically doing our due diligence, looking at all of the different steps that we might have to take to fill the quarterback position. And Derek Carr, I mean, listen, he might not be your favorite option for the Carolina Panthers, but he's certainly a better option than I think we've had on the market before. I still wouldn't put this as very likely in my own opinion, but there are a lot of Panther fans who think that we could do a lot worse than Derek Carr. And then just to make this a well-rounded discussion, Peter King is reporting that the Panthers are not interested in trading for a 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. So we're kind of left to speculate, is this due diligence? Do they have actual interest in Derek Carr?
How does this guy know? I know he's an insider, Peter King, and we know him from being the dude that made a big deal out of Cam Newton, say he wanted to be an icon. But you have reports that the Carolina Panthers are meeting with Derek Carr. How can you go ahead and say you're not interested? Basically, this sounds like, hey, it doesn't make as much sense from the outside. So I'm going to say that the Panthers aren't really that interested. Cody, let's start with Derek Carr. I don't know how I feel about it. Is that in one sense, I've been very supportive of the idea of that it's a necessity to walk into next season with a veteran. It would be malpractice not to. Who that veteran is, I don't want to overly fight about it. Is it Sam Darnold? Is it Derek Carr? Or as the Commanders, we'll see later on, and when we get to the news, released Carson Wentz. At some point, they're going to have to put somebody in there who has taken NFL snaps before, right? It's just at least to go into camp. That doesn't mean they're going to be the starter. It doesn't mean anything like that. So on one hand, I understand that dynamic. On the other hand, when that does happen, whoever it is, we're going to get into that relentless cycle of, is this a mistake? Is this a failed bridge? Then you got the Frank Reich storyline of doing that was his problem in Indianapolis, where you go from Forsett to whatever. He went through the list of all those guys and then back to Carson Wentz. So if this happens, I kind of think it would be for the benefit of the Carolina Panthers. Like, I think they would get better with Derek Carr, but I'm also slightly intimidated by, is this the first part where we get like the unknown of the new coaching staff? Like, is it a mistake? Is it right? Is it Should they get Derek Carr?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you're expecting. So, for example, if everybody has their eyes on the draft right now, and rightfully so. We're getting ready to talk about the Combine, and all the big four, minus Bryce Young, are going to participate in some way. But here's the deal. If I'm just being very honest with you, I think Derek Carr is much likely to be a better starting quarterback next season for the Panthers than Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. And that's not to say
I think you got to get those guys.
And I'm not even saying that those guys can't end up being good quarterbacks. But if you're drafting Anthony Richardson or Will Levis this year and expecting them to come in and be ready to lead this offense on a deep playoff push, I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely to me. I think out of all of your free agent options, Derek Carr makes the most sense on that front. But a lot of people have
what about
problems
Sam Darnold?
Well, and see, this is where we have to talk about it. because even though he's the best free agent option on the market, Derek Carr, he's probably going to be the most expensive as well. And then at that point, you're asking, well, would you be willing to sign Derek Carr to a 30 to 35 million? Maybe not 35, but I've
Yeah.
been hearing
No,
30 to
that's what you would
35
have to
million
do.
dollars a
That's the
year.
money. That's the
And
money.
for a lot of people, that's kind of too rich for their blood, and I understand that. I don't know. It just depends on how much you want to give up if you think that you're ready to compete right now. The one thing I will tell you, fans are going to hate it unanimously because it's just going to seem like the Carolina Panthers doing the same thing year after year after year and expecting different results.
Right.
Yeah, let me turn it over to CK and Greg. You guys can go on this. If they were to get Derek Carr, pick anybody, say bring back Darnold, whoever they get, they have to draft a quarterback anyway. And would you be comfortable drafting a quarterback and just saying this is we're going to walk into next season with that rookie, Matt Corral, and that's it? I feel like a CK, is that like a necessary thing? If you get whoever you get, if you get a guy of somewhat of a name recognition with Derek Carr, you got to bring in a quarterback still in the draft. Could you reasonably go into 2023 with a rookie quarterback and Matt Corral? Would that be malpractice?
I mean, I don't think anything at this point is malpractice compared to what we've dealt with in the past. I mean, at the end of the day, as Matt Rule would say, we're not going to go out and get Derek Carr and pay him $30 to $35 million to be a bridge quarterback, because he's going to get close to that. Sorry to say it, that is going to be what he's going to cost.
So we're not getting him?
No, we're not going to get Derek Carr and then go and draft a guy. Like, there's just no way.
No?
Like, yeah,
that's what I think you should do. I think you should do 1 year, $35 million, and get your guy at 9 or whatever. And
Derek
then say
Carr
this.
is not interested in being a bridge quarterback, dude.
I agree.
Like, that is not his
Oh,
interest.
too bad. Guess what? He's not interested in being good either, really.
Well,
I will
guess
say
what?
this.
The Jets will probably give him a long-term deal.
Right.
But also think about this, though. Now all the talk is, because there's so many quarterback needy teams, that we're pretty much, it's looking like we might have no choice but to move up in the draft if we want a quarterback, which I'm about to blow my lid on that later. I'll put the pause on that for right now and stay on subject. But the one positive side to Derek Carr is you're not giving up potentially 2 or 3 first-round draft picks to sign him. You know, it's into your free agency dollars.
So then what? So is it rookie and rookies only, or is it rookie and Sam Darnold? And then pull up the next news note. Greg, go ahead, answer that question. Is it rookie and rookies only? If you trade up, you have. They're saying you have to play them. Right. I don't even think you should have. That's my point. Is I don't want to have to play him even if you trade up. What do you do here, Derek Carr? Your thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Well, here's the thing: is there are 2 questions, and one is the rookies and rookies only type question, where I don't think that it's detrimental to a rookie quarterback if he's a guy you think is a first round, that worth a top 5 pick. He should be able to start year 1. Like, I'm sorry, I just feel like that puts you in the level you should be able to start. So we got to ask ourselves a couple of questions. One is Derek Carr and what we're going to pay for Derek Carr. Should he sign a 1-year deal, which I'm in agreement with CK. I don't think he would. Is he worth that much more than just signing a Sam Darnold or going with a Matt Corral or playing a rookie quarterback? Because if he's not, like, if we're going to end up with 1 or 2 more wins, still not make the playoffs and still not really make any noise, I don't see a point in signing Derek Carr. I would rather do the rookies and just let them play it out.
We're sitting here advocating for Sam Darnold. That's what you guys are saying.
He's
and
the best
you know what?
option,
I'm fine with
now.
it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. Is Sam Darnold, Matt Corral.
Sam played well down the stretch. I don't care.
He did.
What Andy?
I'll
people
be
loved
fine with Jameis.
People loved it. People love to hate on Sam. I don't give a damn. I'm not saying he's the savior. I'm saying last year, at the end of the year, Sam Darnold played the best football that we've ever seen him play, and I think he's more mobile than Derek Carr. So I don't think that should be off of the table. Yeah,
I think Greg, you've convinced me. no Derek Carr. And now we're going to have to talk about the trade up, not right this second. What's next, Cody?
So the Panthers made another new hire, man. We just do not stop. Everyone that has a big name or that comes well recommended, the Panthers are interested in, man. So a big front office move. The Panthers have hired Adrian Wilson as their new vice president of player personnel. The former co-interim GM with the Arizona Cardinals beefs up the Carolina front office. So yeah, I mean, we're giving Fitterer some more assistance, giving him some extra guys in the front office. He's very well respected. And some people are saying, hey, maybe this even increases the chances that the Panthers go look for a DeAndre Hopkins, somebody who Adrian Wilson had experience bringing to Arizona in the first place. So, very interesting. What do you guys make of this?
I think it's a move that is again, it's not something. I don't think it's a needle mover, right? It's fine that he's been put in the position, but I feel like with our coaching staff, and we tend to do this, and we can look back and we could say that we've hyped up this coaching staff quite a bit. It's okay to say that this was an average hire. I don't think that this
or like we don't even know,
right? And the idea of going and getting D-Hop, there's just no shot. Number one, we're not going to be able to afford him and pay the people that we have to worry about paying. And on top of that, you're talking about giving away draft assets to be able to go and get him. And guess what? We need those to trade up in the draft, apparently. Like, there's just no shot. DeAndre Hopkins, you can just get that out of your mind. He is not coming to Carolina. He's not going to be a Panther. Best of luck to wherever he decides to go, or wherever he I think he has a no trade clause. Whoever he waives his no trade clause to go to. But I can assure you he's not going to waive it to go to Carolina for a rookie quarterback.
So now he actually doesn't have a say-so in where he's traded because of the PED thing. It waived his no trade clause.
Oh, so nice.
Now he doesn't.
I don't even want that.
He doesn't get a say. But on Adrian Wilson, he was a standout safety at NC State from 1998 to 2000 before being a third-round draft pick of the Cardinals and spending 12 seasons with the franchise. He retired as a player in 2015 and immediately joined the Cardinals as a scout, moving up to director of pro scouting in 2019 and being promoted to the VP of pro scouting in 2021. He served as the interim co-general manager of the Cardinals during the 2022 season after the firing of then GM Steve Keim.
Can I talk about something real quick?
Please.
Like, everybody on Twitter was losing their mind that we were able to hire this guy. Like, it was this big. That is the most basic resume I've ever seen of any court, like anybody. I don't understand why we're hype over this move. I'm not saying it's a bad move, but there should be nobody in their right mind that's looking at this and saying, oh my God, the Panthers are cooking. That's just not what this hire means. That's not what this was. He was promoted to the interim GM. He didn't even have the full interim GM position. He was a co-interim GM, right? So
we're on a high, bro. We're on a puppy love high. CK.
I know, and I don't mean to bring us back down to earth, but come on, not every hire is an absolute bombshell of a hire.
He might be great.
This was a front office move that is a guy who's got an average resume. There's nothing that's telling us he's coming.
I agree.
And he's coming from a organization that has done horrendous things from a talent evaluation over the past 2 or 3 years. Let's not sweep this under the rug. They went and signed JJ Watt, injury prone at the end of his career. They let go of Hassan Reddick while he was there in Arizona as well. These guys, and they decided to draft Isaiah Simmons, who has been, an average, if not below average, at his position since, coming into the league. Right? They're not out here throwing darts at the dartboard and just hitting bullseyes every time. This isn't a home run hit. It might be good. It might work out, but it's not something that's going to be worth us getting excited about.
Right? I also think that it fits the trend I mean, we saw D'Angelo Hall being a part of the coaching staff now. We have a lot of former players who used to play football
Oh,
now
guys, come on.
in other
This
areas
has nothing
for
to
us.
do with Reich, though. This
Yeah,
is
but I think it has
look,
something to do with the former player movement getting
well,
into the front office stuff, and I think
I'm
you're going to
interested.
continue to see this.
You don't think it has anything to do with Reich, you think? I mean, isn't that a problem? Don't you think? I think
No,
Reich should
the
have a little
front
part of
office
everything to do
in
with
the
this.
front office. We are no like is
Well, it has to do with
Tepper.
personnel, right?
I think he is like an assistant GM, so it's basically Scott Fitterer's assistant and replacement, and he was
Right, but
doing what
don't you
he
want?
is ultimately for what Steve Keem did for the Arizona Cardinals. So no, I don't think that that's really if the vertical structure of the organization is truly like what traditionally it should be, is it's Tepper and Fitterer talking about these guys. Maybe Dan Morgan in the room saying, who do we want? Maybe the head, right? Is maybe you get some input for Frank Reich, but I'm with CK on this. And I don't want to, CK, like my son said, don't ruin our cocaine bear high. Is Panther fans are riding high on this coaching staff and all the moves that have been made. So right now, who cares who the person is? It could be a koala bear, and we'd be excited about it. And that even goes to the DC, like that's what my buddy from the outside, he's a Commanders fan. We got a lot of Commanders news later on in the show, and he said, like, who that man? I know that people like this Ajiro Evero, but everybody's like, oh, no miss, can't miss, right? Everything is can't miss right now. The one thing, and this one though, CK, you're right. Steve Kim, whatever his name was, maybe on the outs, but he took a leave of absence, like he resigned. And if this guy is so awesome, why was he not promoted? He knows the organization, and I hope the best for him. I hope he's great. But they went out and got this Monty Osenfort guy to replace Steve Keem. They did not go with him. And, so it's nice, but I think CK is bringing ultimately, a reasonable perspective here.
Yeah.
I'm not, is that I hope the best for him. I hope he adds to the team. But let's not like he's going to walk in there and all of a sudden we're getting freaking DeAndre Hopkins. This guy, we hope for him to do well. We should be talking about Dan Morgan. And really the question in the end is going to be, is Scott Fitterer's job truly on the line this year? I've heard people talking about this. Does this mean anything for that? Are the Panthers preparing for the next phases of front office readjustment? Or is this them just loading up and getting Fitterer the people he needs to execute his job the best he can?
And by the way, I also just want to point out what White Chocolate Espresso said. If he was a part of that Hopkins trade from Houston, that was indeed a steal at the time. And no, I hear what you're saying, CK. There's no reason to think that he's like some great thing or whatever. But again, the air of optimism and knowing that we still have other guys in positions of being able to make decisions. Scott Fitterer is still the guy in charge. We still have Suleiman in there on the cap. This just adds another set of eyes, and a set of eyes that everyone does say is well respected. So I think it's another good hire. It doesn't have to mean anything, but it's a decent hire. They clearly wanted him to be in the front office. So
I'm fine with the hire. Like the thing that I'm just not I'm not down with, and I think maybe I'm taking the Greg approach on this is like we can't we've gotta be realistic in some respect here and realize that like this is a hire that's not really going to move the needle for the Panthers. Like this isn't going to change the way that the Panthers look next year.
Or if it does, it's just gravy. It's great news, but you can't bank on that.
Right. You're not like if we do really well like this year and there's just great talent and everything, I can tell you that people are not going to look back to this hire and say, oh my God, it's because of this. Right. There's so many different moving factors and it's fine. It might turn out to be great, but I think somebody said it in the chat and Pipe Slinger might have said it. This is I hesitate to say this because it takes away the merit of hiring a guy like him. but there is a long-term effect to this that could be impactful to benefit us, and that is the compensatory pick that you would get if he gets hired to another team and gets a promotion, right? So you're starting to talk about that when you have our offensive coordinator, our defensive coordinator, all the people that we've hired in this coaching staff. Like, there is a real opportunity for us to be the next Rams in the fact that we're going to be looking at getting just like constantly compensatory pick after compensatory pick, or the 49ers.
We've got about 45 seconds before our next segment. See, Greg, if you got something to say it now. Cody, let's pop through them real quick, and this will be our segue to our guest. Don't forget to call into the show at 252-228-5098.
Okay, real quick.
Yes.
I have to agree with y'all that I think that this is not a home run hit, but we don't need home runs all the time. Base hits work just fine as long as we get a few home runs in there every once in a while. I think we have. And two, I think we're not looking far enough forward with this. You guys are always stressing about the importance of a GM and coach relationship. You're saying this guy's the assistant GM basically, and that Fitterer might be on the hot seat. Like, let's look a little further forward. This may be a little more important in the future than we think. If he's on the hot seat, this is the assistant, and a coach and GM relationship is important. There may be more into this than we think. I'm not saying it's a home run, but let's not just look past it like it's nothing for a hire.